encontré con Laura, hablé con ella, salimos y la verdad sí me enamoré muchísimo. Y de ahí nos casaron. Teníamos la edad, 16 a 15 años. Mi hijo Brian nació el 2 de febrero del... Tenía unos 4 o 5 meses cuando me vine acá. Me acuerdo cuando me despedí de Brian, pero la verdad me costó muchísimo trabajo. Y no tenía dinero y mi hijo ya nació, tenía que buscar algo para salir adelante. Bueno, no tenía idea ni de negocio ni de nada por la edad que tenía. Pues mejor me fui a los Estados Unidos, dije. Hablé con mis hermanos, pero mis hermanos también no querían que yo viniera acá. Hola Laura, te estoy llamando, pero no me respondiste. Yo acabo de llegar en la ciudad de Manhattan. Estoy yendo con el abogado de Brian que hemos platicado. Voy a ir a averiguar, a ver cómo me va. Igual estoy emocionado de volver a reencontrarnos después de 14 años. Ya solo nos queda el día de volver a vernos en persona, ¿verdad? Yo te dejo saber más tarde a ver cómo me va. Nunca hemos tenido así una pelea tan grande. Bueno, hemos tenido discusión, pero así como normal. Pero ya solo quiero convertirme en un buen padre. Bueno, no he sido un buen padre, ni un buen hijo, ni un buen hermano, pero quiero convertir en eso. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Mi nombre es César Josh. Este es Tepeyac.
Sí, este es Tepeyac.
Solo que me recomendaron y vine a hacer una consulta.
Todas las consultas con nosotros son gratuitas y es un verdadero placer que estés aquí con nosotros.
Muchísimas gracias. Bueno, vine a consultar. Soy residente ya por 10 años. Quiero consultar. Quiero traer a mi hijo aquí en Estados Unidos.
¿Qué edad tiene tu hijo?
Mi hijo ahora tiene 14.
Ok, mientras que los muchachos o muchachas tengan menos de 21 años, no están sujetos a ninguna espera larga, sino sencillamente tienen más o menos un año de demora y lo que tengan de demora en tu país. Por el acento tuyo me imagino que eres guatemalteco.
Sí, soy de Guatemala.
Guatemala, de acuerdo con el número de peticiones que hay pendientes, tiene una espera un poco más larga que lo que era antes, 1 o 2 años atrás. Hoy en día yo diría que Guatemala, además del año de entrada, se demoraría año y medio más. De año y medio a 2 años.
Ok. ¿Cómo qué requisito más se necesita para hacer esta aplicación?
Yo te voy a dar dos hojas donde están todos los requisitos que hacen falta. Llévalo, pero los requisitos son bien sencillos. Lo que necesitamos es la inscripción de nacimiento tuya y la de tu hijo para probar la relación. Necesitamos una prueba de que tú eres ciudadano americano.
Ahora apenas estoy haciendo mi ciudadanía,
Entonces
pero soy residente.
Entonces necesitamos una prueba de que eres residente y necesitamos una prueba de que nunca has tenido problemas con la justicia. Y entonces hacemos la petición y, como te digo, nos la aprueban y después hay que esperar que le llegue el turno.
Sí, bueno, tengo 2 consultas más también. Quiero también traer a mi mamá y la de mi mujer. Bueno, mi mujer entró ilegalmente en Estados Unidos.
Ok, las personas que entraron con visa están salvaguardadas por el problema de que tienen el sello de la visa. Uh-huh. Y no tienen que esperar, solamente esperar a que le llegue su turno en el proceso. Las personas que entraron sin visa tienen que pedir un perdón. Y el perdón es bastante fácil. Hay que probar que ella es imprescindible en la vida tuya. ¿Qué más podemos decir del aspecto positivo tuyo?
Igual, tengo como dos trabajos ahora. Trabajo en las mañanas, trabajo en construcción, bueno, hacemos un poco de todo, interiores. Y ya como en la tarde o fines de semana, hago arte, pero quiero convertirme en, en un artista profesional.
Qué
Sí,
bien,
a
qué
veces nos salen algunos trabajitos de murales con unos compañeros. Hacemos y hacemos en exposiciones también y gracias a Dios también me está abriendo puertas día con día en galerías, haciendo nuevas amistades, conociendo nuevos artistas. Antes participaba en muchas organizaciones, cuando alguien necesitaba un abogado o algo, también nos ayudaba a buscarnos
Pues
como en las librerías
es muy importante que tú le pases eso a tu esposa y que tu esposa demuestre que ella está en la misma filosofía que estás tú. La vida tuya está cambiando en una forma maravillosa y ella debía de envolverse en el arte y debía de envolverse en ver los murales que tú estás pintando. Y yo creo que es un matrimonio perfecto y sería un placer trabajar juntos y
pues
llevar todo esto.
también quiero convertir en mi hijo en artista también, pero él siempre ha querido ser un músico. A veces me dice que quiere
Pero
ser un
músico es un
futbolista.
artista.
Sí, eso es lo que quiero, deseo más para él, que
¿Y
forme su propio
qué
grupo,
instrumento
¿verdad?
quiere tocar él?
¿Cómo?
¿Qué instrumento está tocando?
Ahora en la escuela en mi pueblo está practicando más la trompeta, creo.
Mm.
Sí, bueno, también quiero prepararle una vez mi ciudadanía con ustedes.
Lo que se puede hacer es empezar la petición como residente
Ok.
y cuando te hagas ciudadano se agiliza presentando las pruebas de la ciudadanía.
He platicado con algunos, ¿verdad? Que va a ser un poco fácil. Bueno, desde que me han dado la residencia nunca he salido del país.
Uno de los requisitos para que tú puedas hacer la ciudadanía es tener más de 5 años de residente o de 3 años si estás casado con un ciudadano americano, no tener antecedentes penales y no tener problemas con inmigración.
¿Ya puedo aplicarme de una vez con la ciudadanía?
Correcto, sí.
Ok, está bien. Sí, por eso vine a consultar, ¿verdad?
Bueno, pues que Dios te bendiga y tú verás que todo va a salir muy bien.
Muchísimas gracias.
Ok.
Sí, muchísimas gracias.
Sí, bueno, pues mi nombre es Jasmine Morán. Yo vivo aquí en Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Y también soy bailarina profesional y también maestra en danza folclórica mexicana. Yo nací aquí en Brooklyn, Nueva York. Entonces, a la edad de 8 años, yo y mi familia nos mudamos todos a México. Entonces, yo crecí en México casi la mayoría de mi vida. Terminé la primaria, secundaria, preparatoria y a la edad de 18 años decidí regresar aquí a los Estados Unidos con el propósito de ir a la universidad y culminar mis estudios. Entonces, yo soy la primera persona de mi familia de graduarme de la universidad. Entonces, me gradué de Hunter College con un bachelor's degree en dance.
8 vueltas para movernos en círculo. ¿Ya? Ahora, lo que quiero es que no todos se muevan al mismo tiempo. Quiero que alguien rompa los círculos. Que alguien la vez se para y empieza a practicar acá con alguien mientras todo el círculo se está moviendo. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. You're right in there. Sí, este es solamente la misma. Creo que la 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 16, and move. Everybody say, yay. Da, 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 da. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. Yes, 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 yes. Can we try the music? Okay, here we go.
All right, getting ready for tomorrow?
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm excited. So we've worked hard on it. So
Yeah, we definitely did work a lot. And yeah, I think it's just, even, after dancing for 15 years, like, I still feel nervous every time I step on stage because you never know. Like, every stage is different.
Yeah.
And especially for tomorrow because we're performing outdoors.
Right.
And, we're dancing near the river. So it's going to be a very beautiful background on the back.
beautiful
when-
scene with us on stage.
I know,
yes.
yes.
And I'm glad we're starting with Canelo. I feel like it's strong, especially with live music.
Yes.
And I think the audience is really going to enjoy the storyline of the excerpts of Boda Mexicana.
Yes, yes.
And going into Puebla.
Yeah. I think for tomorrow, we'll be able to tell the audience, the diversity of Mexico through dance.
Right.
And, starting with Veracruz, that has, a lot of Afrodescendencia, and then from Huasteca, y Quetzales, que son danzas de los pueblos indígenas, entonces esa mezcla de la diversidad de México y las comunidades y de la gente también.
Sí.
So I'm excited. I'm just really, really excited to be able to represent that on stage.
Yeah.
And, on stages like this big, like Hudson River, and performing even on our previous performances, Jacob Pillow,
Yeah.
which other one?
Chelsea Factory.
Chelsea Factory, that we did the Cinco de Mayo production.
Right.
Yeah, so I think, I'm just happy to be able to do that.
Yeah, and it's still surreal for me coming from such a small town that I'm performing in, the Big Apple, and just something I never thought I would ever accomplish.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, me too. Like, just growing up in Mexico where I started dancing, usually like they don't see, dance or folklorico like something you can like pursue or make a career of.
Right.
And look at me, like I was performing here in New York City, and just going on stage.
And taking on this new role as rehearsal assistant has been a great learning experience and quite an adventure.
Yes, for sure, definitely. Yeah, I was really nervous, to be honest, because like I was like, I cannot take this role, because I'm always on this side, as a dancer, you know, you always go to rehearsal, like prepare, it's mentally just to, remember choreography, steps, and just execute.
Yeah.
But now with this role as rehearsal assistant, like you get a different lens perspective from the other side.
Yeah.
So it was something like I never experienced before, and like and now like you have to teach repertoire to dancers, professional dancers.
Right.
It was like very intimidating.
Yeah, because you're expecting other people to teach you that or review that with you, and then you're the one responsible to represent the company in a professional manner and have everybody look good and precise and together and clean, and it's a lot of responsibility, but
for sure, and I'm really happy, that I'm not doing this alone. Like you're right there with me, and also, our directors, being supportive as well, and I know with our fellow dancers, they've also been very supportive with our new role. So I mean, that kind of felt more comfortable and like, okay, this is something I can do.
Right, yeah.
With all the support systems, so I think it was.
Yes, because I didn't know how it would be on the other side, how we would be received.
Exactly.
So feeling that support was really important.
Yeah, it was. It was
Yes.
definitely very important. But I hope we get to see more roles like this. Especially in the dance world. More women of color taking important roles.
Yes.
Because I know dance and just in the arts in general, it's mostly like male dominated, and so it's hard to see that representation de nuestra comunidad y decir nuestras historias on stage.
Right.
I think that's very important to do.
Absolutely, yes.
Hush, yellow tape to open door.
¿Dónde vas, Canelo, caramba, por la madrugada? ¿Dónde vas, Canelo, caramba, por la madrugada? A cortar lechuga, Canelo, para la ensalada. A cortar lechuga, Canelo, para la ensalada. A la tripa, tripa, tripa de cochino. A la tripa, tripa, tripa de cochino. Mi mamá no quiere, Canelo, que yo tome vino. Y si acaso tomo, Canelo, que sea de arrufino. ¡Uy! El amigo mono, caramba, se cayó del palo. El amigo mono, caramba, se cayó del palo. Por el aire dijo, Canelo, larga de San Pablo. Y si no lo dice, Canelo se lo lleva al diablo. A la tripa, tripa, tripa de venado. A la tripa, tripa, tripa de venado.
Before 2018 Icon was like your first Icon, both of you.
Yeah.
And so now that you mentioned that, like the growth that I'm seeing of like, not even just Fernando, like although even though he joined like a year later, or like you or me from where we were in like 2017, 2018 when
Yeah,
we just
when we all
got here. Well,
joined.
yeah, like to WASI. It's like I was telling Fernando, like he did so good today, and I was like so
Yeah.
proud.
Yeah.
Because technically, you and Fernando are like one of my first students, like from my first group of people at WASI, and like Aldo was, like I was an intern when you joined, and then when Aldo joined the next year, like I was coordinating that program. So technically, he is like one
Your
of my first
students.
student, like my first student.
Yeah.
So, and like I've told Aldo in other like projects that we've done, like, bro, like I'm so proud of you because he's doing so much work now.
Yeah.
And I think it also
Aldo.
shows, like, I look at other people's accomplishments, but then, like, if we sit down and we, like, look at what you and I have done, it's also, like, a lot. Because, like, this summer, it was 5 years that we joined. Because we joined in the summer in 2017 for, So,
5 years.
yeah, and then at that point, I was, like, a freshman in college. And that's, like, my first semester. I didn't know anyone. And I was starting to like get the feeling of like, oh, what is it like to be undocumented in New York?
Yeah.
Because prior to that, I was like not sure like who to talk about, like about
Yeah.
this. Like the only people I have told was people in school, and not even like friends, but like people like my counselor when I was like applying to college,
Right.
and they were like, bro, I don't know, like it's so sad you can't go to college. You're so smart, but you can't go. You can't afford it. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? So finding that space at WASI where I was like, oh, like there's so many great undocumented people around here doing so many great things. Like I can do that.
And like we haven't even talked about going to Mexico. That was the whole thing. Like going back to Cholula, like, and experiencing the foods. Because low-key, this Chipotle chicken sandwich is okay, but like doesn't compare to like what like
And
like the pambazo or
no,
like
but we
the-
were just talking about it yesterday.
Oh.
Like we were talking about like because
Yes.
ofrendas and like what foods would be on the
Oh.
ofrendas for us.
Honestly, that's so dark.
No, but like, and then we started naming all these things
these
that
foods.
are like, you wouldn't find those here, or
No.
like not all of them, or they wouldn't taste the same even if you found them here. So, yeah, like my coffee was like, I like coffee, like, but like if it was
Yeah,
a
like,
temporada,
this
like,
was
that would
little.
be different. But
Or like what is that atole? Like the one that's kind of like gray.
the masa.
The masa. Oh, that's so good too. What else do I like? Like I just after going to Mexico these few times throughout the year, and experiencing also new. Like I eat the foods here because you know mom makes them. Like the pambazos, mom makes them here, or like the memelas, like mom makes them here, right? But they just have like a really different
taste.
flavor.
Yeah.
Even though they make me sick, but like they really do have different flavors there, and it's like all these. I just saw a bird like hit it on the wall. Sorry, like all these different flavors that we don't get here, and like I wish I could be eating a memela right now and not the sandwich. That would have been so good, and it just makes me miss Cholula a little more.
Before I would be like, oh, I miss home, and like,
Oh, that's so
but
weird,
I
yeah.
wasn't really sure what home was. Like, I remember, like, I was 10 when we came, so I know, like, I have memories. Maybe not all, but I have memories, and I, you know, like, I did have, like, kind of, like, my childhood there, a little bit of my childhood. And this time that we went, I was like, okay. Like, it was really weird to see that I stayed 10.
Yeah.
But like life moved on over there, like everyone moved on, and
Or
like
passed away.
yeah, I
That
mean,
one.
how many people passed away on us that we couldn't go
Yeah.
and grieve in person, and even that, like, grief is so important in like the undocumented community because you don't get to experience it the same way.
Yeah.
We're talking about food and like, oh, it tastes different, like it doesn't taste the same as like food like over
Yeah.
there, even if it's the same food. But like grief is so different also. Like grief here, it's not the same as
No.
grief there in person.
It's on WhatsApp.
Yeah,
It's just on WhatsApp.
yeah. There's that poem that's like undocumented people don't get to grieve.
Oh.
And that one always gets me because it's so real. Like people find out through Facebook, like
Yeah.
people find out through like WhatsApp, like you said, or like a call or something. And you still experience that loss and that grief, but you don't experience it the same way that they do over there.
Yeah.
And like you said, like all the people that have died on us over the like span of 13 years, and it was like we went back and we had to grieve that. But like I don't know about you, but I felt like I couldn't fully because people were a little bit like, it already happened. Like
Yeah, like they were like, oh,
like
let's
the
go
time
here.
the time to cry about that past.
Yeah.
And I was like, please, like
It's not.
like it feels like it
still-
just happened to me. Like so I think like I don't know, like I don't feel like I was liberated. Like I have the freedom to go now, but
That's what I'm saying. We have
but
freedom
I still
to
have so
go.
much loss that
Yeah.
will never like be compensated for having like
Yeah.
a green card. Like that doesn't make up for all the things that I lost already.
Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy also that you're saying that like, oh, they don't even know who they're with. Like I feel like I can't even explain my work to them in
Oh, yeah,
Mexico.
they don't get it.
Because they don't understand.
They're like,
because
"What's that?"
they're just like, I feel like in our family we're like the only immigrants that they know.
Yeah.
Or like from like I know at least from like mom's side, we're like the
Right.
only people who are not in Mexico. Like we are the only ones that
We're
left.
international.
Yeah,
No.
like mom is the only child out of all her siblings that left. We are the only
Yeah.
like grandchildren that are not there. So I don't think they will ever understand. Like when I've tried to explain grief to them, like they're just like, damn,
Yeah.
damn,
They're like,
yeah. Or like you know like the work that we do, like I can't explain it to them. Like I can't